Hi, Debbie. I'm a friend of Sandy Cameron, who is a friend of yours from high school, I guess. She told me about this movie, and so we're bringing people over to watch it. Sounds interesting.
I'm Rebecca, and I'm here to watch Climate Hustle because I was dragged to it, and I am minimally excited, but I'll get there. And so it's kind of about seeing the other perspective on climate change and what we don't learn in school, since that's all pretty one-sided. So yeah, let's see how it goes.
I've got grandchildren in elementary school, and I have been seeing them programmed to be hustled, I'd say, and I can see a correlation between what they did in communist China, controlling the children and turning their families in, turning their parents in, and I think I'll see that happening, that they're successful.
I thought the movie was a tremendous demonstration of how we have been hustled by politicians, the UN, anyone associated, the media especially, with the climate. There is definitely a control of our youth in teaching this. We have an uphill battle, but something I just heard in the panel discussion afterwards was that why there won't be a debate. There's no debates between those who are for climate change and those against it, because in 2009 in New York there was a 90-minute debate. They polled the people going in who were overwhelmingly believers of climate change. After they heard the debate, they completely reversed. When you debate the pros and the cons, the ones who are hustling us fail, and that is why there are no debates, and I thought that was a really interesting point.
There was a little bit of comedy that I liked, and it really taught me about what's happening and going on with the world, and what could happen and what can happen and stuff like that. I think we're being hustled.
It's hard to believe that there's anyone that believes this hoax.
Well, I think it just points out the responsibility that Christians have, because we have a commandment, not bearing false witness, and if we don't speak the truth, we're allowing a false witness to perpetuate itself. And so I look at it from that standpoint. You have a responsibility, plus with the New World aspect of it, the global governance and all that sort of thing. I just think, that it's an obligation of Christians to expose it. I think the film is great, and a lot of good material.
So for one thing, it makes me frustrated and pretty angry that in school we learn only the side of the argument that is climate change is a human thing, and we debate that and only that side of it. And it's just, we never see this other part of it, and it just seems a lot like, also, if you question somebody on the matter, then you sound like the one who's uneducated, because as soon as you bring any sort of skepticism into it, or a different opinion, people bring their actual emotions into it, and start to feel that just because they're passionate about that subject, then they must be right about it. And so nobody's willing to question their beliefs, and it's just wrong that it's associated with school, when it's kind of, at one point, an agenda to only show one side of the argument and not both. So I think that it's important important that if you're going to show a lot of climate change videos in school, especially in science classes, then it's important that you bring in both sides of the argument, and it just frustrates me that people don't see that. So.